Thursday early morning to all of you social media friends on LinkedIn, Facebook, and maybe some of you who are trolling the big old world of YouTube today. Hopefully for you today, you didn't do this, because this certainly happened to me, which is you had to go outside while the sheet of ice might be on concrete, and you were like struggling, and eventually you slip and fell. That happened to me. I survived, didn't break any bones, but my a side of my back is a little bit sore. So be careful out there, social media friends, for the next hour or two, so that that doesn't happen to you. So with all of that said, let me bring in my co-host, Rick Batista, into the conversation and in the studio. Good morning, Rick.
Hey, Bill. How are you today? Glad you slid into the studio safely.
I slid into the studio. That isn't the hard part. I slid literally in my own driveway in front of the garage door, despite the fact that last night I thought ahead. I put some ice melt down on the concrete, but it's still pretty bad out there. So be careful. Be careful, people.
Yeah, bring your ice chipper and your snow boots.
Yeah, bring your snow boots. Maybe wear some extra layers of clothing, especially down, so that if you do slip and fall, you got some cushioning effect.
Yeah, little pad.
So, Rick, since our last episode of Real Living in Chicagoland, 4 weeks back, fast forward to now, why don't you lead off today's live stream conversation with what's changed, what's happening as far as the business and the market of real estate is concerned?
Well, it's been interesting the last, I know it's definitely at least the last third, if not the last fourth January, that things have really gotten hot right out of the gate. I don't know if it's the new year, new you, new year, new home, mindset, or if it's thanks to climate change and milder winters that we've had throughout Chicagoland. But, people are looking to move, and it's both sales and rentals. Yeah. We've had a lot of buyers out there. I'm working with some buyers right now, and they were, just started their search, and we've been talking for a couple of years, and they're finally getting out there. But a couple of places they wanted to go see, one place had like 40 offers, and another, I think it was like 42 offers they topped off at. And another place had, either 10, 20 offers. So it's might be telling what the spring market's gonna bring for us. But, people are just kind of settling into these are the rates, and, they still have to move because life happens. And
life happens.
Rents aren't going any lower. And
wow.
I think people are realizing. I just had a rental that in Lincoln Square, we were marketing it for $3,800. It became a bidding war, and it actually rented for $4,200.
Wow.
So I wasn't I was kind of expecting, once we had the level of interest we had, that it was going to be higher, but not $400.
Right.
And who knows? We'll see what happens with the rental market. Sales and rentals have been very busy. A lot of people looking for March 1st, April 1st. A lot of people who are looking to buy a home or, don't want to renew their leases that are coming up in the spring. And of course, there's a lot of people out there because of affordability issues that are looking for multi-units. And with multi-units, there's, the opportunity for property management and stuff that we also take care of. So it's been an interesting start of the year so far.
Yeah. And so let me do a quick pause here. This is all for you, social media friends. You've heard it from Rick just now. His business, whether your needs are the traditional, I'm going to sell a property to buy another one, or one side of those two, one side of the coin with that, or you're a landlord and investor that needs to rent a vacant unit or a vacant property. And lastly, maybe you're the landlord investor that is really arm's length because you're kind of far away, Rick's business can help you soup to nuts with every aspect, every three of those pillars. So with that, what I think I'm hearing from you just now is the clients that you serve and the clients that I serve, they're always faced with that fork in the road, which is renting, owning. And what I think I'm hearing is, doesn't matter right now with how kind of unbalanced the market is. It's kind of hard for some.
It's very difficult. And, again, housing affordability is a major issue. It has been, and I know you're going to show some charts that I put together, but
Yep.
just looking at the last 10 years, I don't know if you're old enough to remember, Bill, but in 2008 we had a market crash.
I remember.
And it took like 6 years to recover. So
Right.
this chart goes back to 2014. These charts go back down to 2014. And you can see that, thanks to all the foreclosures and short sales that really drove prices down, it took, up until about 2014 to recover from the 2008 crash, which kind of started in 2006. But these numbers show basically the household income needed for the median household to afford a median priced home.
Okay.
And as you can see here, both for detached and attached single family homes and attached big condos and townhomes, we've gotten worse over the years. It really took a plunge in 2021, 2022. It was like around May of 2022 that the rates practically doubled. Started getting into from the 2s and 3s into the 5s and then 6s and 7s thereafter.
Right.
So it's very unfortunate to see, and this is not nationwide numbers. This is for Chicagoland, the 7 areas of Chicago proper.
Got it. So the lower the number, regardless of whether it's a detached single family property or an attached, the lower to the number, the less affordable it is for a large pool of consumers. Correct?
Yeah, so basically they don't, and I'm sorry, I got a siren passing by here, but the lower the number, that means that they're not making the household income required to afford the median priced home. And I think I shared these numbers with you, but I don't have a slide for it, but it's very unfortunate that median price home it doesn't tell the whole story.
Wow.
You really have to look at it as the attached or the average price home. And just to kind of compare for detached single family homes, last year across Chicago, the median sales price was $330,000. So that's the number that's right in the middle. So half the homes sold for more than $330,000 and half the homes sold for less than $330,000. But the average sales price was $492,000.
Right.
And that doesn't even tell the whole story across Chicago. And when you kind of dive deeper into all the areas and even the neighborhoods within the areas, and the average attached single family home and median sales price, that was a difference of $100,000, $375 and $479. So it's I think if we looked at the average household income, the affordability index might actually look a little different, but this just kind of gives us a snapshot of the trouble we're seeing with housing affordability, not just in Chicago, but of course across the country.
Yeah, I hear you. So as I'm hearing this, it sounds like to me right now, because of the unbalanced market, sellers have the advantage and landlords and investors have the advantage because they can be more picky about who they want to rent to as a tenant. The sellers can be more picky, choosing the better offer amongst the multiple situation. Correct?
I would say overall, sellers and landlords have the upper hand when it comes to negotiating power. I think it's a much more kind of a delicate line to balance on when you're selling versus renting.
True.
Because with renting, if you hit the market high, as long as you adjust the pricing, people really don't look at the market history of a rental as they do a sales.
That's true.
A sales property. So if you come out of the gate super high on a sales when you're trying to sell your home, people are going to see that. And if you have to lower the price and you don't lower it in within a week or two, it's just really a delicate game, and strategically speaking, with sales, they can definitely smell blood in the water.
Yeah.
If you're not smart, if you don't have a broker who's advising you, number one, I think the worst mistake you can make is hitting the market too high.
Yeah.
And even these days, even $20,000 too high, $10,000 too high could be too high.
Yeah.
So I mean, each property should have a different strategy, but overall, if you're hitting the market at fair market value, just above, just below, you want to create more of a frenzy, multiple bid situation. You should really be right around the fair market value.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my relationships, Rick, is selling a very upper bracket 7-figure property.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It has been on the market. Let me drop the bomb here. It's been on the market a total of 13 months.
Yeah.
8 of the 13 actively marketed on MLS, Mr. Ed, real estate aggregated websites.
Yeah.
The other months, as you know, in the private network, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let me drop the bomb, the second bomb. If you're going to ask me, Bill, okay, very upper bracket property, 7 figures, it's got to be a nice property. The answer is yes, it's nice.
Yeah.
They've gotten 0 offers.
Yeah.
You can guess as to why, right?
Yeah, I can take a couple of guesses, and there's probably only one reason.
The first and only reason is you're asking way too much.
Yeah.
and then and then of course maybe a lack of a strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before realtors were kind of the gatekeepers of information, and
Right.
Zillow, love them or hate them, they certainly cornered the market as far as getting in front of people's eyes when they're looking
Right.
at properties. But now people have data and sales history information, and of course everybody who has information thinks they're an economist and
That's right.
a professional realtor. But I used to manage kitchens, and my mentor always told me that the one ingredient they leave out of the recipes is experience.
Yeah.
So you can have all the ingredients, you can have all the data you want, but unless you're experienced, you can't really kind of tell the whole story. But yeah, I mean, price will kill it. If anything's on the market, even today, and we've had higher market times across Chicago the last couple of years, average market time is about 60 days, 50, 60, a little over 60. But I would say if you're on the market for 90 days, there's only one reason: it's the price.
Yeah. And let's state the obvious perception. If your neighboring properties are selling because they're coming on the market, they're going under contract in escrow, closing it out while you're sitting on the sidelines, that should tell you, that's you sellers, that's calling you out right now. That's telling you that, hey, maybe you're being a little unrealistic, or flat out you're just being way too greedy.
Yeah, it's kind of like getting picked last in gym class,
Yeah, when we got picked for the neighborhood softball, football game, I pick you, and you're the last one to be picked. Who wants that?
Yeah.
Let's now pivot the conversation to, I know you face this because you touched on it already, with one pillar of your business helping landlords and investors rent out their units or properties. They have the leverage right now as opposed to the tenant. So I've heard stories like this, Rick, where landlords and investors are wanting tenants only with rockstar credit and 3 times income. I got to look at it. I got to see it 3 times out of the rent. Are you hearing some of that? Are you experiencing that?
Yeah, I mean, with our client base, the majority. So here's my rule of thumb as far as household income criteria. If the heat's included, we'll go 2.5 times the rent.
Got it.
If the heat's not included and the tenant's paying 3 times, we want to make sure that they have a comfortable cushion.
Yeah.
So a lot of time people will say, well, I was making that, then I'd buy a house. I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about buying a house then. Let's get that pre-approved. But that's just the reality. And invest. I mean, investors are investors. They're not running a charitable organization. They're there to make a profit.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
and some landlords are there to make a living, not a killing, and some are just there to gobble up as much as they can.
True.
But everybody has their own plan, and I'm here to work for them and help achieve their goal based on our code of ethics, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I mean it's I mean, when you get into higher price points, obviously a $3,000 or $4,000 rental, you're talking about household income of $9,000-$12,000, and not everybody's making that. And then where are you going to be renting? Just rentals, Chicago, northern suburbs. That's getting higher. People always complain about Chicago rents and taxes, but you don't have to go too far into the burbs to see even higher. Higher prices. So it's a challenge out there for many, unfortunately.
Yeah. So for that reason, as part of this part of our conversation, here's a question I want to throw out at you. And this, by the way, is for all of you social media friends who may be forever renters. What if there is a rent to own option? Do you think that can help some of these renters kind of get to their next chapter?
I definitely think so, because I get plenty of calls. Do you have any rent to own options? I know there's a couple sites on there. I don't know how credible they are, but there's a couple sites out there that try and push some of the regular rental listings onto people.
Right.
But a lot of people are asking because it's they want to buy something. They have every intention to buy something. They just can't do it right now.
That's right. And so reflecting back, some of the reasons that I hear, which is, yes, I want to buy something, but not right now. Mm-hmm. Can I share with you a secret? It's usually not because of the cost of borrowing money to buy now. Mm-hmm. It's because there's some other bigger important life events that are their initial obstacles. Yeah. Right? Maybe they're going to get married in the next year and they're funding their own, destination wedding. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
So with all of that said, social media friends, I'm going to drop the bomb now, share this with you. Rick already knows this, so we're kind of setting the conversation up.
I was practicing my surprise look.
There we go. There is a very viable rent with option to buy. And this solution is something that my company, my peers have labeled and coined Home Buyer Ally. And in this particular segment of our live stream conversation, this is simply my visual aid that I'm sharing with you so that you can get a bookmark as to hey, I want more information about this. And so as we wrap up today's live stream, Rick and I will certainly share a simple way as to how you can engage us to start a conversation. Whether you are forever renting, Rick can help you. Whether you are selling to buy, Rick can help you, and I can be on the backside to help you as well. Or whether you are in that special segment where you're like, I need to rent now. I'm not a forever renter. I want to have the option and the flexibility to purchase. So how can you two guys, you two amigos, help me with my journey? Like I said, toward the end of this live stream, we'll show you how you can start a conversation with us. So with that said, as we wrap up today's live stream, Rick, let me put you in the hot seat. Mm-hmm. And I want to get your personal opinion, but it's also reflective of your professional experience. Is it harder to acquire, buy, renovate an ugly duckling property, or is it harder to build brand new construction? Talk to us about that, sir.
So I mean, you don't have any problems as long as you got the money, right?
Bingo. That's right.
So it all depends on the cost effectiveness of buying an existing home.
Sure.
There are homes that just need some updating. I mean, when they say that, things were built to last and they don't make them like they used to, it's true.
It is true.
I see new construction, and you can have the granite countertops and all the bells and whistles inside, but the construction itself, I mean, you can't compare the labor, the lumber, just the materials that they were using before,
right?
And the craftsmanship too. But some properties, it's just the fact that they were neglected for so much of their 100 plus years that they've been around.
Yeah.
That it would just cost so much money to renovate.
Yeah.
If you got mold and foundation issues and this and that, I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But if if you want to rehab it and you want to spend the money, more power to you. But sometimes it just makes more sense to knock down and build new.
Sure.
And whether you and a lot of the builders, since the crash of 2008, a lot of builders have kind of cleaned up their books, and they found a way to make things more affordable for them. So they're really controlling the market now.
Yeah.
To where they're helping out. And my sister in Arizona was able to get, when rates were 7, she was able to get a rate for 5 because she bought new construction.
There you go.
And a lot of builders are offering those incentives to buy down points and stuff.
Yeah.
So from a buyer's perspective, it all depends on the bottom line for you.
Yeah.
I love older property and I would love to renovate it, but if it's just too much work, it's too much work.
Yeah. I think you are spot on. I think, the hard answer, the long answer is, well, it depends. It depends on really you.
Yeah.
Are you capable of contributing your sweat equity?
Yeah.
Can you DIY some stuff?
Goals, budget, and timeline.
That's right. And then you and I both know when it comes to renovating a beautiful but aged property, the old cliche is, what is it? The old cliche is, you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Like a box of chocolates. You're never going to know what you're going to get when you start opening up walls and ceilings and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
My wife and I talk about renovating homes because we're looking to hopefully work on our investment portfolio a little bit more and buy homes. But we would much rather. I mean, it's wonderful if you want to build a dream home one day, but it would be great to just buy an old house and renovate it because you can keep some of the woodwork in there and
sure.
There's so many charming features to an older home
that
you can't get from a new home.
Yeah.
But yeah, it all depends on you and how deep your pockets are and what your goals are and how quickly do you want to either live in the house or turn it over or flip it.
Yeah, very true. So audience members, thank you for joining us in today's live stream of Real Living in Chicagoland. And this morning's Chicagoland for you, me, Rick, quite icy. So like I said at the top of our conversation, be careful out there, maybe for the next hour to 2 if you're traveling about. So back to what I hinted earlier. How can you engage Rick and myself to start a conversation to help you in your journey of real estate, whether you are an investor, first-time buyer, a moving up or lateral buyer, right, and selling something along the way, or whether you are that forever renter. There are solutions. All you need to do is simply scan the QR codes that you see here. Rick and I will gladly start a conversation with you, be a part of your journey to get you where you want to go. And so with all of that said, Rick, let me ask my music posse to play us out. Audience members, we will see you in about 4 weeks. Stay tuned for the next episode of Real Living in Chicagoland.